welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name's Anna, and on this channel, I'm sharing our journey of learning how to turn our home into a homestead. As you can see, it's clearly not golden hour, so we're going to deal with shadows and suns and all kinds of fun stuff this morning. It is, I think it's like 8:30 in the morning. I was going to do a bunch of weeding and stuff like that, and I was just going to kind of fiddle around in the garden, and then I started pruning up the suckers for my tomato plants. And then I realized, hey, I can replace a lot of my dead tomatoes that I have in the garden with suckers. So we're gonna go ahead and root some suckers. This area of the garden just generally needs some TLC. This long bed here, it's about 14 feet long. I need to put a cattle panel, 2 cattle panels up so I can trellis the tomatoes that we have growing in here. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to do that. And I might end up just getting some bamboo. We'll see how it goes. But either way, we need to single stem these guys. So we're just gonna take the biggest and the best cuttings and put them in water. And hopefully we can get, well, I guess that's not true. I'm hoping to be able to get enough suckers to be able to replace, I probably have maybe 10. I think I have 10. So we'll just do however many we need to get 10 suckers. How about that? Or to get 10 new plants. Some of these guys are maybe not the best examples, but we're gonna put them in water anyways and see what happens. This one, it went crazy. It's the one that was right up against there, and I haven't touched it, so. We're gonna put it all in here, in our jar, and we're gonna grow some tomatoes. I'm pretty excited. I didn't know if I'd be able to actually sink these T-posts deep enough. And there was definitely stone there. I definitely broke through rock. So that gives me a lot of hope for the tomatoes out there, which I think we're gonna go ahead and string up here pretty soon. So they're starting to grow. These ones are amazing. I don't know what's going on with these guys here, but these are doing fantastic. The ones on this side, the ones on that side like died of some stem rot. So I'm pretty excited. I'm so excited. We got these guys here. We got a bunch. So in about a week, we'll be able to replace the ones that have died here as well as down in the field. Oh! That could have been really bad. Oh my gosh. We got the 2 cattle panels up. Thankfully, Robert saw me out here struggling trying to get that thing up, and he came out and helped me hold it up, and we got it in place. It's a little bit higher than I had intended. I probably would have gone with maybe 6 inches lower, but it's still gonna be fine. I like to have these things raised up high like this because then it supports the long-term growth of the tomato, and I've had really good luck with it. Like usually, even at this height, even in Washington, they would outgrow the trellis, and this thing is, well, it's a 10-foot post driven 2 feet in the ground. I really enjoy using this size T-post for this. I'm going to show you how I'm actually able to overcome this and actually still get them raised up without falling over, get them adhered to the actual trellis here. I'm going to show you my trick. All I do is I just take a roll of some cheapo, yarn. I have a lot of yarn. I crochet. haven't crocheted in a few years, but I have a very large yarn stash, and I just found the crappiest, most awful textured yarn that I had that I would never want to actually use for anything, and this is what I do. Like, it's terrible, like, awful quality. You don't use your good stuff for this. Okay, so we need to trim some of the bottom leaves here, right? Because we want to make sure that when it rains, that the leaves don't get wet as best as possible to prevent diseases. So then what I do is I just take the yarn and I tie it very loosely, like super loose, like I could fit 2 fingers in there, because we want to make room for growth, right? And then I just tie it in a square knot, and then I wrap it around. I kind of trellis it a little, like I kind of wrap it around here. I think I cut this probably a little bit longer than I needed to, but whatever. Okay. Just being careful, you don't want to damage the plant at all. Yeah, I definitely cut this way too long. Let's cut this down by like half, just so I'm not irritated by it. There we go. And so we're just gonna wrap it around, kind of like what are those, like tornado something that they make for greenhouses, and then I just tie it up here. And then once it starts to actually get large enough to where I can adhere it to the actual trellis, I'll snip this off. Like once this plant gets up to about here, I'll snip this off because I won't need it, and then I can just affix it to the actual trellis. One thing that I have kind of figured out over the years of using this for several years is that, like, a lot of people weave it in and out, and I found that actually it damages the tomato and leaves it susceptible to disease. The last year I figured that out 2 years ago, and so I stopped doing it last year, and I had almost no disease until the end, and my soil in my area was very, very heavy with blight, and I got almost no, I only got late blight, like right at the end stuff started to kind of go down, and so I was really able to stave off disease by not, because when you weave it in and out and you rub it up against here, it can, it's hard to explain, it leaves a mark, and it damages the stem ever so, whether it be ever so slightly or obvious, it does. And I've just found that if I just, like, sometimes I'll use yarn, and sometimes I'll use that green, you know, tomato sticky, stretchy kind of tape stuff. Tape, it's not really tape, but that stuff I find, I like that the best. But the string also works when you're on a short budget, which is probably what I'm gonna end up using this year. So I just love it. I'm just wondering, I'm noticing this plant, like, I'm like, oh, it looks like it's got a hornworm. Sure thing, I'm sitting right next to this little sucker. Ah, he's latched on there. Ugh, gross. Ew. No. Ugh. Yep, I'm a pansy, I don't care. Ugh. Look at this guy. It's huge. I'm gonna go feed this nasty little thing to the chickens. Those ducks freaking loved that hornworm. They went crazy for it. I decided to feed it to the ducks to give them a taste for it, because I do plan on allowing the ducks at some point in the garden, and obviously not the chickens. So I was like, I'm gonna give them a taste for these guys. I think it's just a little bit too hot for the camera to be out here. It's starting to get pretty hot. And I don't really have a place to put you in the shade at this moment. So I'm gonna finish up however much I can before it gets too hot out here, and then I'm gonna head inside myself. It's cooled off substantially, and now I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of show you the finished product. I got it mostly weeded, and I got all these plants kind of strung up. Everything's looking wonderful. I got most everything weeded. I don't know if y'all ever seen this tool. I can't remember the name of it. What is it, like a Cobra or something like that? It's like this tool. It is the greatest weeding tool I have ever encountered in my life. I just ordered it from Amazon. I got it off the suggestion of Jess from Roots and Refuge. I didn't know what to expect. It looked weird. I hadn't ordered it for like a year. I swear she like recommended it last year. But this thing, good for itching, but it's amazing. This thing, I was able to pull out like 9-inch taproots from like the weeds that were in my bed. No joke. I pulled this sucker out. I don't know if you can tell how deep, how long this thing is, but look at that. It is a complete root. Look at this guy. I'm sure most of the people who watch my channel probably watch Roots and Refuge also. So you've probably already seen this tool. If you have and you haven't ordered it, freaking order it. I'm not trying to like super sell anything. I think you guys know I don't really necessarily go over like a lot of like say like, hey, you guys really should order this, but I do occasionally, and this is definitely one of those things. This thing is phenomenal. Y'all need to check it out. Like this thing just digs deep. It gets in there and really gets the taproots out. So that thing's fantastic. I just thought I would show you that because, sorry, I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Anybody who needs a good gardening weeding tool should check this one out. I'll also link my Hori Hori down by the other garden. My Hori Hori, you guys see me with that and planting with it. That thing is phenomenal also. I got this one too because at the time this was the only thing that they actually had at the hardware store. And this thing's decent. I mean, it works. Nothing like this. I'll tell you what. This thing is amazing. This thing is pretty okay. This thing I got at Dollar General for $1. One of the odd things at Dollar General that's actually $1. But it's alright. Just kidding. Sorry. The thing on my agenda for this evening is to do as much of a compost bin building structure as I can get done. I have been throwing my compost in a pile that I thought is what we were going to use for our compost bin right here. But I've decided that's not where I want to put it. So we're actually going to move it over here. And this spot, my son, you can see, he just weed whacked this yesterday, I think it was. As you can hear, it's right next to the chickens in the duck house. I'm planning on putting 3 3-foot wide, well, I'm planning on putting 3 bays of the compost. Basically, you put it in the first bay, flip it into the second, the third is finished, right? That's kind of the principle of the triple bay for the most part that I've seen. And if you really need to flip it a third time, you could totally make the third one not be. So this here is a doorway that gets inside here.
So many bugs.
Okay. Holy crap, what was that? Okay, is actually a milking stanchion for goats. So that's pretty cool. And so it's kind of handy. The placement of it is you put it in here. You can see they also had guineas. They also had pearl guineas in here, or they had pearl guineas around and they were in here. You can see the feathers in here. So it's actually really handy placement to have this kind of goat barn in here next to where we're going to put the compost. So works out pretty well. We have all of this down nitrogen / carbon that we have here. So I'm going to rake all that up. We're going to get all the stumps that are kind of high. I'm going to cut them off with a pair of loppers. Another reason that I really like this location is that there is room for growth because I can put it also, I can do another triple bay right here. We can also expand it because it's really wide, like there's nothing else out here. So this seems like the perfect kind of place to put a compost bin, right? So I don't know how much of this I'm actually gonna get done today, but I'm anticipating I will at least be able to get everything that's here raked into a pile, be able to lop it all the tall, like, cause the bushes that were here were like, it was hard to even tell that they were weeds. When Malachi when I asked him to do it, he's like, are these actually weeds or are these like bushes? And they were huge. The stalks had to have been probably 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick. They were huge. They looked like little trees. They were giant. So I need to go through, lop them all off to the ground, cover it with a layer of cardboard. So hopefully we can at least prevent some of the growth through. It's 7:07, so we have about an hour and a half. I was out here for the last hour. I was just trying to kind of ponder and just thinking about things I want to do. I'm also going to move the garden fence and we're going to kind of expand that a little bit. So lots of awesome changes coming, which I mean, obviously we've been changing since the day we got here, but I have some immediate changes that I'm hoping to make here within probably the next week or so, depending on time and temperatures, of course. And cute little kitten, he's on the prowl. You on the prowl there, Boo? He's my Boo. See this guy here? His name is Boo. I named him that very fortuitously. Is that the word I'm looking for? But he has another brother, and I named him Buddy. But this guy here, he is like all about, he's so cuddly and he purrs and he meows and he's just so cute. Whatever these things are, I actually discovered that it's easier to pull on it with a pair of pliers, or I think I'll have better results in the long term because it just pulls right out. Like I was pulling up with the lopper and it would get stuck on there and it wouldn't cut all the way. I'd pull it and it would just pull the weed, the taproot right out. So I just decided to grab a pair of pliers and make my life easier. So we have discovered approximately half of the population of the ants on the face of this earth are over here. So I'm getting really sick of getting bit. I've got ticks crawling all over me. So I'm gonna go inside, I'm gonna grab a dish and we're gonna make up a, it's a borax sugar paste. Sorry, the chickens are jumping up trying to grab as high as they can the stuff inside there. But I'm gonna mix up a paste and we're gonna set it out as a trap, and hopefully within a day or two, they'll be dead, most of them at least. I think we're going to do that in the garden as well. We have a couple of them there. I'm pretty sure that anything that likes sugar would eat this, and we don't want to kill every little thing. So my understanding is, I could be totally wrong, but we want to do a small container, maybe like a 4-ounce little jelly jar or something like that, and poke holes in the top of it so that something really, not everything on the face of this planet will go in there and eat it. We just want to go after the ants, and that's it. And they're pretty dang tiny ants. Hopefully that will help to eradicate it. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to de-tick and de-ant and hose myself down with anti-itch cream and all the fun stuff. I don't typically get eaten alive a lot out here. My husband does big time. It's awful. It's horrible. I'm not really like that. Sometimes I'll have nights where it's a little worse than others, but for the most part, I don't really get much of anything. I think it's probably because of my high meat consumption. I've heard that there's a correlation between B12, and I did notice it last year when I did Whole Foods plant-based for the summer. I got eaten alive. I got wrecked. And then when I started consuming meat again, I think it's the B12, but when I started consuming the meat again, it went away and I was fine. So tomorrow we'll come back, we'll check the ant population, we'll see how things are. This is hopefully going to be a pretty decent size homestead sustainable compost operation by next year. That's my goal. I want to create all the compost that we need, and so we'll see how it goes. And obviously I'll bring you guys along for it and you guys can see what I'm doing to do that. If you guys are new around here, oh my gosh, the chickens are so funny. If you guys are new around here, we just moved to southern Missouri from Washington State, and we are in the process of setting up our home and homestead. We're turning our home into a homestead. We have a pretty good infrastructure that's already in place that we are just fixing up and making our own, and in the process of expanding it. I also like to do all kinds of videos on canning, freezing, dehydrating, fermenting, and I do farmers market hauls and all of the fun things. So if all that sounds interesting to you, make sure you check out this link right here. This is where all the fun happens. This is where you get reminded of all the cool things we're doing. Up here is a video that Mr. Goo Goo Pants thinks you're going to enjoy. This here is my last homesteading vlog video, and up here is the Missouri vlog playlist. Make sure you check that one out for all the fun and everything that we've done since we first started our journey in Washington. We'll see you next time. Bye.